Hello, I'm the Angry Spork, concluding my thought experiment on how Detective Comics' Rebirth might have gone in a pre-Flashpoint setting. No reboots, no reinventions, no useless characters, and a bit more streamlined.
You're close, but no cigar.
Finally, Batman Eternal.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Part 1 begins on the streets of Gotham, with colony soldiers seeking out any crime and stopping it with extreme force, their gear slightly altered to lose any bat-related motif. Proxy reports this to the team, but they have their hands full trying to talk sense into Kate Kane. Black Bat feels that Batwoman's movements seem a bit off, not natural. She intentionally takes a hit to the jaw and notes that it didn't feel right. "No, duh," Spoiler says. "It isn't supposed to feel right. At least not to the one being punched." Cassie actually meant that the impact felt too weak, as if she were resisting the strikes she's dealing. They hear what sounds like muffled words from Kate, but her mouth isn't covered or moving. Batwing apologetically stuns her and scans to confirm the clay mask covering and controlling parts of her body. It then leaps from the unconscious Batwoman and latches onto Luke's suit, taking control and attacking the team. He gives a vocal command to shut the suit down, which automatically expels him from it, but then the clay just takes his body proper and goes hand to hand. Red Rob figures the one in control is making the clay mimic the host's exterior, to control it the way the first Vic did the Giant, but camouflaging its location to make it near impossible to spot. It also covered vulnerable spots, making certain strikes ineffective, like Black Bat's nerve hits. The signal controlling it is now stronger than the mudroom, and that's when Batman, Nightwing, Batgirl, and Red Hood all seize up. "Yes, Red Robin, considerably stronger," says a voice from the window. The controlled heroes and heroines, even Kate, all stand at attention and salute the entrance of Ulysses Armstrong, wearing the Colony Prime suit.
Is it just me, or are army recruitment tactics getting a wee bit extreme?
Part 2 begins with more of the colony fighting Gotham crime and taking some fire from police, though protected by their suits. Incidents are shown on the screens in the Belfry, where Armstrong shows off his armor, expecting all to be impressed as the helmet melts away to reveal his face. It's made of the clay mass he appropriated, at first thinking he'd sparse it out to the soldiers, but it was enough to plant a virus in their gear with an algorithm to mimic Batman's crime fighting, and the unwilling pilots just being along for the ride. The airship above the Belfry has a skeleton crew under clay control awaiting new prisoners. When he's eradicated crime in the cesspool that is Gotham, he figures other cities will want to have colony platoons protecting them as well, and the bats will be obsolete. All thanks to Red Robin. "Really?" Spoiler asks. "That doesn't line up with the true meaning of anarchy, does it? Anarchy with a K." Armstrong is surprised, but Steph, hoping to give Proxy more time to figure something out, mentions that when he approached her in that crimson guise, she thought about tackling the matter alone, but that was her more inexperienced self-style, and he was clearly coaxing her into going backwards. She told the team, even had Batwoman as backup when she gave him that dummy thumb drive, and letting him go was just to lull him into a false sense of security. When the clay giant started attacking on Victims' Day, which Steph learned about from the meeting Anarchy told her to attend, connections to Ulysses began to form. An astute observation, but he only donned that alter ego again to exploit whom he perceived as the team's weakest link, to gain access to the base and its secrets, particularly the mudroom. Before that lost drone shorted out, it caught how Spoiler was worried about Red Robin, and Ulysses figured he could play on her emotions. It was one plan that fell through, but that's fine because he's winning as it is. "A likely story," Damian sneers as he and Black Bat go on the offensive against Red R's judgment. The pair get a few hits in, but that just allows enough mud to make contact and freeze them in place with their mentors.
You know I love Cassandra, but she does have a history of thinking problems can just be solved by hitting them hard enough. If only that were true.
"I'd rather rush in and start breaking things."
Tim calls Proxy to override the signal, hack the airship system, something, but Armstrong says if that happens, he'll know and command the clay to cut off the team's oxygen. Maybe a few will survive long enough to be rescued, but some of them certainly won't. Spoiler goes so far as to appeal to his military demeanor, suggesting that the colony's bosses won't let him keep the tech or the soldiers, or support his authoritarian tactics. Ulysses laughs that off, thinking that enough people with real power will care more about the results than the methods used to achieve them. And that's why he altered the armor to less resemble Batman, so Armstrong can take more of the credit he feels he deserves. Red Robin asks what the result he wants is. Everything he's done, what does it all lead to? Armstrong laughs again, saying he has one thing in common with Miss James, sort of. He wants to know Red Robin's identity. Part 3 opens with our last cape standing a little incredulous. All this chaos to find out one hero's identity? Not even Batman's, but one of his sidekicks?
Ulysses still blames Red R for the deaths of his siblings, even though they died as a result of one of Armstrong's schemes. But since the strategic prodigy can't conceive that he was ever wrong, he wants to know who his masked counterpart really is.
Not simply to threaten Double R's loved one's eye for an eye style, but to understand who he is, if he can stand in judgment of the brilliant general. If you won't tell me, I'll make you. A glob of clay heads right for Tim, but Spoiler pushes him out of the way, taking the hit and becoming immobilized, as Armstrong anticipated. Just like how he knew the capes would stop the first victim, or how he located their base in the first place. He's very strategic and likes to pad his ego. He fights a little with Tim, who's already been working too hard lately and is tired as it is. Armstrong taunts that, try as they might, their entire building won't be able to produce a signal strong enough to override the airships. This gives Proxy a light bulb moment. She reroutes power from portions of Gotham's grid, only areas that can deal with a short blackout, and strengthens the signal from the mudroom. All the clay mass from the airship, the Belfry team, and even Armstrong's suit pulls away, re-entering its rightful place in the training arena. The freed airship crew shuts down the signal and starts recalling their ground troops.
Somehow I don't see them getting off the hook with the excuse, we didn't mean to seize the city with tyrannical methods, the deranged teenager we hired made us do it.
Though the team is freed, Red Robin tells them to hold back. He's mine. They settle for blocking the exits so he can't get away. With the second win, Tim assails his opponent physically and verbally, saying that while the two are a lot alike, both possessing precocious intellects and both having loving families that did the best they could, they both also wanted to do great things to the point of obsession. Whereas the general wanted to dominate, destroy, and validate his sense of superiority, Red R did his best to help people and had trustworthy friends when he went too far or risked losing his way. You want to know who I am, Ulysses? I'm the version of you your ego won't let you become. A human being. With a final punch and the advice of grow up, Armstrong is knocked out and his control band is broken.
Fortunately, before he was taken away by authorities, there was time for Stephanie to grab a Sharpie and graffiti his face with a handlebar mustache, a beauty mark, and the word damaged across his forehead.
In the aftermath, Ulysses is implicated in the Clay Giant attack, thanks to Proxy sending police Belfry security cameras recording his monologue with his clay helmet down. Not enough to expose the team or their base, but enough to put most fears to rest. The mudroom is on lockdown until better security measures are in place to prevent another incident, if it doesn't get mothballed entirely. Batwoman left the team, which Bruce finds unfortunate, since she may have had more to pass on, but they'll make do. He's also considering seeing if Duke Thomas and any of his Robins want to join up.
In the event some of those ragtag teenagers agree, Duke could still be the signal, and if others have trouble coming up with names of their own, mantles like the Target and Orpheus are still vacant.
The victim syndicate is disillusioned with their leader, and with therapy they may be more amiable to treatments for their conditions. Maybe Mudface could be cured because she wasn't affected the same way as Carlo or the other clay folk. Colonel Simon Samuel stepped down as a result of the Armstrong incident, with the teenager being remanded to Argus custody. Though the colony will continue, with Colonel Jacob Kane leading, and to help ensure a brighter future for the project, his lieutenant is none other than Batwoman, who hopes to change things for the better on a bigger scale, not figuring anyone in Gotham will miss one cape. Somewhere in the world, Orphan Prime is in a room with Poppy, concluding a months-long interrogation, and the woman is visibly deprived of food and water. She insists she's revealed everything she can as it pertains to his past. If you're lying...
What? You'll kill me?
Well, yeah. Oh, well, in that case, I've got tons more. You see...
Instead, he simply stabs her, saying she'll survive if she's strong enough, and he leaves for parts unknown. At Wayne Manor, Tim packs up his car for IVU, aided by Grayson, Cass, Jason, and Bruce. He confides and confesses that he seriously considered staying in Gotham, skipping the scholarship, and focusing on the Belfry, but had a realization when fighting Ulysses. He focused so much on others, he started forgetting it was okay to take a break and focus on yourself for a bit. Otherwise, you burn out, lose sight of what you're doing and why. Alfred makes a crack about Master Wayne still needing to learn that lesson. That's probably why his future self went so dark, Tim muses. Bruce says he can imagine who helped him arrive at that conclusion as Stephanie approaches. Drake hugs Bruce, Cass, and Alfred goodbye. Bro hugs Grayson, handshake, pull-in, light backslap, and gets an affectionate punch to the arm by Jason.
Damien is watching from several yards away, a scowl on his face, muttering that he's the best Robin, and how he needs to train his dog Titus to attack Drake on sight.
The story ends with Tim and Steph heading to Ivy University. She'll get a train back home. He jokes that she's trying to claim him in front of the other girls at school, and cites studies suggesting being seen in a relationship could get him more attention from the ladies. Steph jokes back that she should just announce that she's just a friend and that he's a dateless wonder. You know, just so no one tries anything. They laugh and figure that their relationship might benefit with some distance, even become stronger when he's finished at IVU. Tim holds her hand, kisses it, and thanks her for always being there for him as they drive off.
And that, very patient viewer, is how the Rebirth run on Detective Comics could have played out without the reinventions no one wanted, the bad poetry that added nothing, and the emotional pandering that helped precisely squat.
I'll admit some things may have been rushed, but hey, I trimmed the filler and nonsense of 48 issues plus an annual down to 30, and trying to be as concise as possible, which is trouble for me on a good day. The entire point is to show that not only were the retcons and reinventions unnecessary, but much the same could have been achieved and surpassed with pre-52 standards. Or standards at all. And even this thought experiment could be improved with the right editing in place.
Anyway, did you love this thought experiment? Did you hate it? Did you feel nothing? Or was I mistaken in some post-crisis capacity? By all means, avail yourself of the comments, in a civil manner, of course. Thanks for watching this episode, or any episode of this series, and hopefully I'll be doing this again next year. I'm the Angry Spork, and man, have I got issues.